McDowell's Supplements, an effective way to ensure you and your loved ones are getting the daily recommended intake of essential vitamins, minerals, and other important nutrients necessary for optimal health. Naturally, we carry an array of health and wellness supplements. McDowell's Immune Booster enhances your body's defense to fight colds and flu, boosts your immune system, prevents viruses and other airborne diseases. McDowell's Colon Cleanser prevents constipation, helps in removing toxins from the colon, detoxifies the body, and regulates your bowel movements. McDowell's Prostate Health prevent the enlargement of the prostate, improve urinary flow, and reduce frequent urination, especially at night. Moringa oleifera capsules are rich in minerals like calcium, potassium, zinc, magnesium, iron, and copper, vitamins like beta-carotene of vitamin A, vitamin B such as folic acid, vitamin C, D, and E. McDowell's Potassium Complex, used for treating and preventing low potassium levels, high blood pressure, preventing stroke, and aid in weight loss. McDowell's Triple Magnesium relaxes the muscles, relieves cramps and helps to control high blood pressure, improves sleep, and can calm the nerves. Magnesium is very important for the normal functioning of cells, nerves, muscles, bones, and the heart. McDowell's Ginger Turmeric helps to relieve pain, decrease nausea and enhance the immune function to help protect against illness and infection. Ginger turmeric has powerful anti-inflammatory properties and improves your circulation. Don't hold health back. Let health strike back. McDowell's, the better way to start your health. Visit Health Service Center, John Compton Highway, call 453-6417. Let your wellness be our stress.
It is well known that diseases like diabetes, high blood pressure, and other illnesses may restrict blood flow, which can lead to impotence and erectile dysfunction. This is why Enhance was formulated to meet these challenging health problems, which can reduce your ability to perform. If you're having problems maintaining your manhood, then reclaim your manhood today with Enhance. Enhance increases your energy level, boosts your stamina, and increases your endurance.
You can get your Enhance at Southwell VA4, Restorer Pharmacy Soufre, Knights Med Miku, Lay By Bar The Morn, Dexter's Place Jeremy Street Castries, Citygate Bar The City opposite the market, Plants Place Denry Highway, Arlette Supermarket Soufre, The Release Stress Bar Labrie Highway, Cool Joint Bar Victoria Schwazel, Prios Bus Stop 22, next to the Moshi Bus Stop opposite the Grosile Bus Stop. Prios Bar and Grill in Corinth, Grosile.
Enhance, the best a man can get.
Live streaming has become one of the best ways to connect the funeral of a loved one with friends and family, both local and international. NBC Television will live stream your funerals on television and Facebook at a reasonable rate. With our state-of-the-art equipment, you can be assured that the quality of your funeral will be to your satisfaction. Call our office now and book your obituary and streaming with us. 758-453-7458.
The voice. Your hero is back. Raw facts, no fluff. Shelton Daniel is here to deal with the issues. Real issues. 12:30 p.m. to 2 p.m. Monday to Friday on Real FM.
Wonderful Wednesday after everyone. I say especially so because it is the very first day of the month of October 2025. Yes, we are into the 10th month of the year as of today. Welcome once again to The Real Issues with me, Shelton Daniel, hosting solo today. Terry Fenelon did indicate that he won't be here today, and I just found out, when the flyer was sent to me, which I'm seriously wondering whether I should, publish it and publicize it and so on. Because Terry seems to be getting into a habit of holding out on me, not really telling me what's going on. That he needed the day to, among other things, I suppose, write his speech, because he's the guest speaker today at the Micoud North constituency annual conference of the St. Lucia Labour Party that will be held at the Prale Community Center this evening. So, Jaquan, while I'm saying that, it hadn't been my intention. I said, I'm going to blank this guy, but to blank him on that, I'll have to blank Honorable Jeremiah Norbert and all the fervent, really committed supporters of the Labour Party in Micoud North. And that seat, is very special to the Labour Party and to the whole of St. Lucia, because for the first time in its history, that seat was won by the Labour Party in the last general elections on July 26, 2021. And they are hoping, in fact, very confident that they will retain it, they will keep it, they will get it again in the hands of Honorable Jeremiah Norbert whenever Prime Minister Philip J. Pierre decides to call the next election. So, Terry, big up to you. I wish you a very good one. I know you always deliver, and you'll do a very good job, especially since you took time off the real issues today. And I know that's why. Don't try to deny it, okay? So, have a good one, my brother. Greetings to Honorable Jeremiah Norbert and to all the people of the Micoud North constituency. Okay. Folks, it's very easy to let people distract us, and I'm no exception. Very easy. Come stir up a little thing, and you feel you have to respond, and before you know, you are responding to their response, and they responding to your response to their response. And we must avoid falling into that trap. In fact, those of you who are regulars with the real issues, you know how hard it is to resist the temptation to skip the program. I can always get to it. I want to hear what's going on some of the program. Not because you've given up on the real issues, but you want to hear what the other side, what the opponent, what the adversary is saying, so you can respond to them. And I suspect they have honed this into a fine art, into a nice little trick, where they always throw out some little controversy, some little lie, some little row, because when you see you don't have anything of substance, when you see you don't have anything that is really fitting for the mental, the psychological engagement and attention of people, what you do, you always throw out something of commotion value, a lide, a ruru, a soaps and so on, that goes on and on and on. But does nothing for our edification. It does nothing for our mental development. It does nothing to provide clarification for us. It does not help us. It does not educate us. It does not wisen us, a word which, it doesn't make us wise. I think wisen is when you become old and so on. It says a wizened old man or something like that, has the looks of age and so on. So, it doesn't do anything beneficial for us, anything that's worth our while. But you throw it out all the time. You make wild accusations and statements. And a friend called me, a true friend, someone who has been my friend for many years, and they said to me, Shelton, I know there's a strong possibility that you might decide to respond to something that was said about you and so on. But let me warn you. And she mentioned that person who she believed I was going to respond to. And about two others, she said, that's what they do, Shelton. They always throw out something so that, this kind of red herring, the bone and so on that they throw, that they know you'll chase after it. And what they're doing is that they're earning likes, they're earning views, they're earning followings, people following them on social media. And as a result, they become popular. And they learn to monetize is the word. They monetize their social media. So whatever it is, they make money off it. And they make it, at your expense, and you become a willing investor in it. You don't draw any dividends, but they are making it big in terms of getting popularity. So she said, don't fall for it. I'm not telling you don't respond, but do not fall for it. That is exactly what they did. Many people messaged me and said that a certain individual threatened me on social media. I'll be honest with you, I went and I watched, listened, and I didn't feel threatened. I didn't see it as a threat. I said certain things regarding the individual. It was fully his right to respond, and when I look at somebody just telling me, calm down yourself, and whatever, you're a big man and so on, I don't see that as a threat. I don't see it as an insult. I don't see it as patronizing. I don't see it as condescending. I don't see it as that. People have the right to freedom of expression, and just the same way we express ourselves, we have to grant them that space, that latitude, that respect to express themselves as well. In this business, when we are out in the public space and we're in the public domain, we have to understand that we get as much as we give. And so don't come out there and throw punches and throw blows and do expect you're not going to get. So I don't feel threatened, I'll be honest with you, and I refuse to categorize it at that. But to take the advice that was given to me, I want to start off with some things that are happening in the country. Many things are happening, so many, that I believe our minds are overwhelmed. If it's not a youth economy there, it's a minimum wage there, it's an increase in the pension thing, it's making teachers, temporary teachers, making them permanent, paying them for the August holidays when before they were not getting that, and on and on and on it goes. I think so much is happening. St. Jude Hospital close to finishing, money secured for the funding of the Sir Julian Hunt Highway to do it and to complete it, to correct so many of the absolute fiascos that the other government led us in, and the airport project preparations to undertake that, the restoring of the George Odlum National Stadium and returning it, simultaneous with moving people. So many things are going on at the national level, at the constituency level, at the community level, that sometimes we I think take them for granted, or it's just too much for us to process. So today I want, before I deal, I'm going to deal with the other matter that I touched on, but I don't want to put it top of the pile. So Jaquan, let's go to that particular one where we are being told that about 600 people are going to be added to the payroll. Let me make sure 600 home caregivers will gain permanent employment status thanks to the pay administration. And the home caregivers, we know the history of it. We know about the nice people. We know about people who were fired, people who were targeted for victims. And you're somebody who's run out of ideas, once you see you targeting people at that level of income, at that level, what we would call that industrial status where employment is concerned, you're going to look at those people to fire them. It means you are somebody, you really have very little between the ears in terms of ideas of how to, you talk a lot, you talk a good game about growing the economy and boosting jobs and so on. But your answer to that is to come and to fire people at nice level, at step level, at government contact center level and so on, to send them home so that you can bring in your own people. If you see, you come in and the only idea you have to create jobs is to fire people so that you can employ other people and so on, then really and truly it's a revolving door. It's a going around in circles. It's a headless chicken economics and so on. You really have not much brain, underneath your crepe, between your ears, behind your eyes. You really don't have any. So you like to come and talk as if you know a lot, but the most you can do is victimize people, as we would say in our Creole. Ki Japani ni duvan ni de. But you're sweeping down on them, including constituencies that you say that did not support the policies of the government, so you can starve them of state funds and give only to those. Once you see people think, apart from being wicked, apart from being evil, it means those people are fundamentally brainless. So let's hear from this one about the home caregivers, Jaquan.
Persons who are temporarily employed would be made permanent. So of course, we have over 600 persons working on the elder care program at the St. Lucia Social Development Fund. These individuals every year work for 11 months because they are temporary workers, and to avoid them becoming permanent, they have to take 1 month off. That has come to an end. They will receive their letter of appointment as full-time employee of the St. Lucia Social Development Fund, and we no longer have to take a break for 1 month in a year to avoid continuous employment.
So that was Honorable Joachim Henry, the Minister responsible for Equity, Social Justice and Empowerment, and the elected Member of Parliament for Castries South East. Never mind, a new candidate has been endorsed, a new candidate has been launched. Always remember, Honorable Joachim Henry is still a member of the Cabinet of Ministers of St. Lucia, headed by Honorable Prime Minister Philip Joseph Pierre. He is still the MP until the next elections, until Parliament is prorogued, so I suppose to pave the way for elections. He is still the minister holding those portfolios. So, let's pay regard to him, even as we welcome, the new, and we give them our support and good wishes, and, in every way that we can. The other thing that I want to put up is not a video clip. It's a It's a document so that we can make sure that we are. Because the individual who called me this morning said, these are the kinds of things we want your support in putting out that sort of information, and I think we do. But basically, it's I think it should be on screen now, that the Department of Infrastructure, Ports and Transport has issued a public notice about a temporary office closure, and it says the Department of Infrastructure, Ports and Transport wishes to inform that its northern office located in Union Castries will be closed from. Oh boy, there's something about apps crashing. Well, why is it doing that to me? I have this problem about certain apps, including the Outlook app on the Android system, crashing frequently. And but you can see it on the screen. Let's see, it's reopening right now. Conflicts, between Google and Microsoft and Adobe and all these sorts of things, that sometimes they are forced by law and so on to allow certain apps to run, but they do their best to sabotage it. So let's read this one. The Department of Infrastructure, Ports and Transport wishes to inform that its northern office, located in Union Castries, will be closed from 12:30 p.m. on Friday, October 3rd, 2025 to Friday, October 17th. That's 2 weeks, we're talking about. This temporary closure is necessary to facilitate deep cleaning throughout the building. During this period, critical services will be provided as follows: transport-related services, Service Bureau Agent Office on Bourbon Street, Castries, St. Lucia Workers Credit Union, I suppose they're building, renewal of driver's license, vehicle registration, route permit, omnibus transactions will be conducted on Tuesdays and Thursdays during the closure period. Driving theory exams will be suspended in Castries for the period. Practical exams will continue as usual during the closure period. The general public is urged to utilize the following to conduct drivers and vehicle-related transactions: Transport Division, VA4 Sub-Office, DigiGov platform, www.digigov.govt.lc, which can also be accessed at the ITC centers in Micoud, VA4, Labrie, and Soufrière. Electrical services, submission and collection of electrical inspection certificates will be done at the Public Utilities and Energy Unit, ground floor, so Stanislaus James Building, Waterfront, Castries. Administrative services, all correspondence can be submitted to the receptionist at the Material Laboratory in Union. Materials Testing Lab will remain open. The Technical Unit for technical matters conduct via email complaints.infrastructure@gmail.com or telephone number 519-0618. Payments. The public is informed that all cash-related payments will be done at the Accountant General's Department on Jeremy Street, Castries. Please note that cash closes at 2 p.m. The Department of Infrastructure, Ports and Transport apologizes to the general public for any inconvenience this closure may cause and looks forward to resuming full service on Monday, October 20th, 2025. I have to say a whole 2 weeks for deep cleaning. Maybe I missed it, but it does seem a little lengthy. I thought it was something that's usually done over a couple of days. But you know what that means? It means that this government is making sure that all the problems we have had over the years that have caused work stoppages and sick outs and go-slows and strikes because people are complaining about mold affecting them and dust and all kind of allergies affecting them because of the ventilation systems, the old ventilation systems of the buildings, that it requires regular maintenance. You cannot have miles of duct and piping and tubing and so on, and you're letting it stand there for a whole year. It's going to accumulate stuff in it. This is the tropics. There's a lot of humidity. So it's a good thing that this government is taking the lead in making sure that it provides the needed, the required, the preventive maintenance so that you mitigate and minimize incidents of all those problems that people have had with mold. And if you are already suffering from respiratory illnesses like asthma and those sorts of things. So, it is a good thing. And in this case, they have felt that it needs 2 years. Maybe they're going to strip down the entire thing for the deep cleaning and other aspects. It's not only, ventilation and air condition, ducts and so on. And to do the deep cleaning. I wish them well, and I hope that whatever issues that may have arisen, that they will be resolved. Now, Jaquan, a little bit of politics, I suppose. Shanda Harrock's launching is coming on Sunday, this approaching Sunday. So, that would be what? The 5th? Sunday the 5th of October, will be the launching in Micoud South of the candidate that will directly take on Alan Chastanet, and I believe will defeat him, Dr. Shanda Lee Harrison. Let's say that one.
Micoud South, this Sunday, October 5th from 3 p.m. The St. Lucia Labour Party proudly launches Shanda Harrison, your candidate who will lead with care, courage and conviction. Join us as we stand together with our political leader and Prime Minister, Honorable Philip J. Pierre, to celebrate leadership, progress, and opportunities for all. This Sunday, Micoud South comes alive with Shanda Harrison and Prime Minister Pierre. We are moving forward together.
You know, I have to say, there's that kind of feel good and pumped up confidence and having this kind of gung-ho, we can do it, we're going to do it thing. There'll be others, you know, but I find Shanda Harrison and Danny Butcher, well, you know, Vieux Fort South was never in doubt. It's already been held by the Labour Party. When was the last time the UWP won Vieux Fort South? When was the last time? You know, it was in 1982. And that was on the back of the debacle of the St. Lucia Labour parties infighting and the power struggle between Odom and Rizzi that led to the government collapsing in half a term, 2.5 years. Labour didn't last a full term. And, you know, Josie left Castries East, where he had been considered unbeatable. At least he wouldn't be beaten by Romanus Lancico then, and he left and he went to contest. Vieux Fort South pushed aside Bruce Williams, the brother of the Boswell Williams you heard me talking about, who held Vieux Fort North for the first term after the seat was created. Boswell later became Governor General, of course, and Cecil Lay took over, you know, to contest the 1979 elections and so on. And Peter Josie went down there, and he lost Eldred Stevens, a little known airport, you know, worker, division manager for Liat at Iwanora International Airport, defeated him. Of course, Eldred Stevens only lasted one term. Josie came back under the Labour Party, this time led by Julian Hunt, and won that seat twice in 1987. He won it again in 1992. And then, of course, he couldn't stand up to Kenny Anthony, who had returned to St. Lucia, so he was defeated and never saw the inside of Parliament again. But this was the last time UWP won Vieux Fort South in 1982 for one term. Before that, Vieux Fort South had been held by Bruce Williams, you know. And after that, Vieux Fort South was held by Kenny Anthony until now. And Danny Butcher is going to do it again. You know, people are confident. I do not know, it's not anything wrong with Gibeon Ferdinand, Gibo, but I have not heard this kind of confidence in people that we are going to take Micoud South away from Alan Chastanet through and in the hands of Shanda Harrison. This is something that, you know, there just seems to be. Just like Choiseul. I mean, there's Kifo mania going around that people, from the time this man was named and endorsed, whatever, and his launching is going to come, you know, maybe sometime after Shanda Harrison. So, from the time Kifson Charles, you know, was named, is like there just seems to be that kind of quiet certainty. They're not making too much noise about it, that Bradley's days are numbered. He can count his last days in the Parliament of St. Lucia as being the end of this term. There just seems to be that vibe, you know, surrounding. I'm not mentioning Castries South. The Labour Party is already holding it, you know. The Labour Party is already holding it. Whatever Lisa Jawai does will be a continuation of the fact that Castries South is seat in which Guy Joseph once seemed unbeatable, that, you know, he was beaten. And since Lisa's launching, there is that kind of vibe that we are definitely going to do it again, especially now that Brother Joachim has shown publicly and come out and endorsed and spoken, and there is a closing of ranks, and Castries South is, you get the feeling, is one behind its new candidate and so on. I notice as if Guy Joseph has gone a little quiet these days. That doesn't surprise me. Let's play this. We mentioned about infrastructure being closed for 2 weeks, starting Friday, a 14-day period. But let's say from the Minister of Infrastructure concerning another matter, which the Labour Party seems to have so much more success in securing funding for major projects. That they don't have to have the projects hobbled and like they on crutches, like they can't move forward with them, like St. Jude Hospital, all kind of games being played with it. And Philip J. comes in and, he negotiates funding from Saudi Arabia to finish the hospital and to restore the stadium. And here's what Stevenson King has to say about, the Julian Hunt Highway, the Northern Highway that UWP botched so badly.
The government of St. Lucia has accepted an invitation from the World Bank Group IMF Monetary Fund to visit Washington to sign the loan agreement and to attend side meetings as it relates to the Julian R. Hunt Highway. $20 million to be obtained from the OPEC fund. The OPEC fund met recently and approved that amount of $20 million for a part of the Julian R. Hunt Highway. The Kuwait Fund for Arab Economic Development has also agreed and approved a loan of 4 million KDs, equivalent to $13.092 million. The government of St. Lucia has accepted an invitation from the World Bank Group IMF Monetary Fund to visit Washington to sign the loan agreement and to attend side meetings as it relates to the Julian R. Hunt Highway. $20 million to be obtained from the OPEC fund. The OPEC fund met recently and approved that amount of $20 million for a part of the Julian R. Hunt Highway. The Kuwait Fund for Arab Economic Development has also agreed and approved a loan of 4 million KDs, equivalent to $13.092 million.
Since Philip J. Pierre has been Prime Minister and Minister for Finance, have we heard of St. Lucia defaulting on any of its loans? Yeah, we borrow, everybody borrows. Have we heard anything like that St. Lucia cannot pay its loans? Have you heard that St. Lucia's credit worthiness has been so shot up that nobody wants to lend us money, that we're scrunting, or we have to take money at rates that are anything but concessional and so on? We have to take them at the harshest rates of interest because we are considered too big a risk for anybody. Haven't we been able to attract concessional financing and so on at very low rates of interest on very generous and favorable terms? Alan Chasney, didn't you say that your patrimony is your credit rating? Well, it seems like now St. Lucia got patrimony like it never had before. That even amid all those challenges, this government of St. Lucia has a credit rating and is managing the country's borrowing and its debt so well that it appears to me that creditors are falling over themselves, to lend St. Lucia money, to ask St. Lucia, to borrow from them, because it's a lucrative market, the lenders and so on. But St. Lucia is getting it at very good rates. Why? Because they know that the country is in good hands. And its debts, its borrowing and so on are being well managed. And when Philip J. Pierre goes into those things, he knows where the money is coming. Never mind you all are trying to wreck. The question is, how does a government do as much as the government of Philip J. Pierre is doing for the country? He's giving so much to St. Lucians. Always a break there on building materials, removing, the taxes and the VAT here and knocking this off there and doing whatever it is to zero rate things so that the prices can come down and the evidence is there that it is happening. Why is this government foregoing so much revenue? Why is this government always giving increases, to public servants, to pensioners, to so many people and so on? Why does this government have such an open hand in terms of its people to financially and economically empower them? And the government never seems to be scratching his head or struggling. to meet its obligations, its commitments, whatever, to the hospital, OKU, to find $15 million to give them, to supply things, to pay off debts that the other side, as Terry Fenner would say, left hanging over our heads. Why is that? Because the government is in capable hands. They don't take our money and just give it away to people because their skin is white, or because they are foreigners, or because they have an accent, or because they are friends or family, or whatever it is, or to impress people. They don't do that. They make the people's money work for the people. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. Real Issues powered by Blue Waters. It's time for our first break. When we come back, the one issue that I open with, I want to close that one off. And then today, I promise you, I'll have no justification or excuse for not opening the lines early, because I'm there. It's not to say I have to share, the cross-talk and chat with Terry Fenelon. I'll be opening the lines for your calls and to read your messages.
The voice. Your hero is back. Raw facts, no fluff. Shelton Daniel is here to deal with the issues. 12:30 p.m. to 2 p.m. Monday to Friday on Real FM.
McDowell's Supplements, an effective way to ensure you and your loved ones are getting the daily recommended intake of essential vitamins, minerals, and other important nutrients necessary for optimal health. Naturally, we carry an array of health and wellness supplements. McDowell's Immune Booster enhances your body's defense to fight colds and flu, boosts your immune system, prevents viruses and other airborne diseases. McDowell's Colon Cleanser prevents constipation, helps in removing toxins from the colon, detoxifies the body, and regulates your bowel movements. McDowell's Prostate Health prevent the enlargement of the prostate, improve urinary flow, and reduce frequent urination, especially at night. Moringa oleifera capsules are rich in minerals like calcium, potassium, zinc, magnesium, iron, and copper, vitamins like beta-carotene of vitamin A, vitamin B such as folic acid, vitamin C, D, and E. McDowell's Potassium Complex, used for treating and preventing low potassium levels, high blood pressure, preventing stroke, and aid in weight loss. McDowell's Triple Magnesium relaxes the muscles, relieves cramps and helps to control high blood pressure, improves sleep, and can calm the nerves. Magnesium is very important for the normal functioning of cells, nerves, muscles, bones, and the heart. McDowell's Ginger Turmeric helps to relieve pain, decrease nausea and enhance the immune function to help protect against illness and infection. Ginger turmeric has powerful anti-inflammatory properties and improves your circulation. Don't hold health back. Let health strike back. McDowell's, the better way to start your health. Visit Health Service Center, John Compton Highway. Call 453-6417. Let your wellness be our stress.
It is well known that diseases like diabetes, high blood pressure, and other illnesses may restrict blood flow, which can lead to impotence and erectile dysfunction. This is why Enhance was formulated to meet these challenging health problems, which can reduce your ability to perform. If you're having problems maintaining your manhood, then reclaim your manhood today with Enhance. Enhance increases your energy level, boosts your stamina, and increases your endurance.
You can get your Enhance at Southwell VA4, Restorer Pharmacy Soufre, Knights Med Miku, Lay by Bar The Morn, Dexter's Place Jeremy Street Castries, Citygate Bar The CDC opposite the market, Plants Place Denry Highway, Arlette Supermarket Soufre, The Release Stress Bar Labrie Highway, Cool Joint Bar Victoria Schwazel, Prios Bus Stop 22, next to the Moshi Bus Stop opposite the Grosley Bus Stop. Prios Bar and Grill in Corinth, Grosley.
Enhance, the best a man can get.
The voice. Your hero is back. Raw facts, no fluff. Shelton Daniel is here to deal with the issues. 12:30 p.m. to 2 p.m. Monday to Friday on Real FM.
Thanks everyone for staying with the real issues on this Wednesday, the 1st of October 2025 with me, Shelton Daniel. SLP condemns candidates' menacing threats against private citizens. The St. Lucia Labour Party SLP expresses grave concern over the reckless and dangerous remarks made by United Workers' Party UWP candidate Calix Kakal Xavier during a recent community meeting. In a statement, Mr. Xavier declared, "If you snitch, you sleep," a phrase widely associated with gangs and criminal activity. As a career police officer with nearly 30 years of service, Mr. Xavier is well aware of the menacing and violent undertones of such words. His conduct shames his profession, undermines the credibility of the Royal St. Lucia Police Force, and sends a chilling message to our young people that intimidation and gangster talk are acceptable in politics. By invoking such rhetoric, Mr. Xavier sends the wrong signal to our youth and threatens the peace and stability of our communities. This latest episode is part of a troubling pattern. The UWP has normalized dangerous, divisive, and inflammatory rhetoric on its platforms and in media appearances. Its political leader, Honorable Alan Chastney, has either looked the other way or quietly approved, giving a green light to this brand of reckless politics. The hypocrisy is glaring. The UWP claims to champion the fight against crime, yet one of its endorsed candidates openly parrots the language of criminals. The SLP unequivocally condemns Mr. Xavier's statements, which run counter to the UWP's professed stance against crime and violence. We strongly advise the UWP to demonstrate leadership by publicly cautioning its candidate and insisting on an immediate apology to the individual he intimidated and the people of St. Lucia. St. Lucians deserve better. Political leaders and candidates must model responsible, respectful, and constructive discourse, particularly in a time when national unity and peace are paramount. All right, so that is a statement from the St. Lucia Labour Party pertaining to remarks made on the platform by ex-cop, I suppose he's an ex-cop now, Calix Xavier, telling someone that if they're a snitch, they will be put to sleep. And if you know, when you tell somebody that you're putting them to sleep in that context, you snitch, you sleep. What else can you mean? You know, what else can you mean by that? Anyway, SLP has put out that statement. You're free to comment on it. Let me say good afternoon to someone who sent me a message that says, an important question was asked this morning by Yardi. Did the principals of DSH offer to finance the Labour Party prior to the 2016 election? Did the then PM, Dr. KDA, decline on the basis that they had a development proposal before the then government? Did they approach Alan Chastney following Dr. KDA's rejection of what appears to be a bribe? Did he accept? If this were the case, which I hope not, it would explain why the deal was signed so soon after the 2016 election. Maybe Dr. Anthony will be free to answer on his part now that he's out of active politics. He's not out of active politics. He remains the Deputy Speaker of the House of Assembly, and he also remains the elected Member of Parliament for Vieux-Fort South. So he would be, at any meetings of the House and so on, he would be eligible to and would probably be participating as well. So saying he's out of active politics may not be quite right. But let me tell you this, I had knowledge of this. A lawyer who represented the government at the time, who has been known to be a key functionary of the Labour Party, and who still serves in several representative capacities for the government on statutory boards and things of that sort, told me that he was assigned or delegated to meet with Mr. Theo. He told me the place, somewhere in Rodney Bay, where, they went for a coffee or whatever it was with Theo Aking. And Theo Aking told him that in this briefcase, I cannot remember the exact amount, but whether it's 1 million or 5 million, and that the Labour Party needs to make up its mind whether it wants to accept it, to cut a deal with them for whatever the investment was, or else later this afternoon I will be meeting with the UWP, and he named the person in the UWP, and I know they are going to accept. That's what I was told, that Theo Aking actually said to them that, look, now call it whatever you want, an offer of a gift, a bribe, whatever it was. The lawyer told me, he said to him categorically Dr. Kenny Anthony has given me instructions not to accept this. Not interested. We will not take it. Your proposal for that investment, whatever, will be examined like any other prospective investor. But we do not want any greasing of the hand. We do not want any money. We do not want any inducements. He turned him down, and he said the last thing T.O. King said to him. Remember what I told you? I am meeting this afternoon with this person or whatever representative of the UWP, and I know they will accept. You want the question? You want the answer? That lawyer who told me that, and I think he told it to me ahead of the elections, whatever. It was no surprise that the UWP seemed in quite a hurry. After that. And I know that particular lawyer will back me up, So who want to run to lawyer and sue and try to, because as elections come in, that's going to happen a lot, people threatening to sue. The lawyer in question will back me up, I know for sure on that one. You want to ask, well, why UWP ran so fast to go and embrace that DSH thing without properly reading it, without going through the fine print and all the minute details of it and so on, to lease or whatever our lands, 1,000 acres almost for $1 per acre for 99 years. You know why? DSH and T.O. King's money likely, if not certainly, played a part in the UWP's election campaign, and it turns out successful efforts to regain office, unexpectedly to many people back then. This is something I've had knowledge of. I may have mentioned it before, but this lawyer told me he sat there, having been assigned because of his experience in investment and whatever. I think he may have been an official board member of NDC or whatever it was. And T.O. King told him, you all need to make up your mind, because if you all don't, I'll be talking to the other guys later this afternoon. And he knows they're going to accept. All right? So this is as much as I know about it. Now, Empress Bobo, good afternoon to you. She says, greeting Shelton, give thanks for life. Can you say this greeting for Empress? Let me see. Bobo, please, Guide. And it is her condolences to her cousin Pamela Leonti, aka Pam of Canris, on the passing of her sister, coming from your cousin Empress Bobo. Hold on, strong family, Guide. All right, so I think your cousin would have heard this. Good afternoon to you, Muriel Lima, also called Lena Finister, who says, blessed Wednesday afternoon to you. Wow, you're looking bright these days. I want to know, what are you up to? Lol, stay safe. All right, not up to anything. Good afternoon to Mr. Silas Wilson, my friend, very long time, who will be playing a part in the organization, or is playing a part in the organization of the Micoud North annual conference that will be held at the Prale Community Center this evening. What else do I have there before I go into the final bit that I want to say before I open the phone lines? Two things. When I was, and I think most of us can relate to that, young children, when we're growing up, we have this always going to tell for you. We're going to, I'm telling mommy for you, I'm making mommy beat you, even as you're crying, That's a threat that you put out, that you'll go and make a complaint, a report. And we became little shinya, like to go and report. You play with somebody and it gets to a little bit of rough housing and grappling and so on, and they get the better of you, get a bruise, and right away is mommy you're going to tell, always with the aim of making mommy beat the other person. In school it was the same thing. I telling teacher for you, I'm making teacher beat you. But we were what? Very young children, 5, 6, 7. I think by the time we reached 8 or so, we had put that behind us already. Maybe stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. It's probably called something else. Always going to tell. I telling for you. I telling on you. I didn't know that when I grew up, I would see a major political party that has held the reins of office and government in St. Lucia so much, that one of its main planks of politicking and campaigning and whatever was the tell on you. I tell in America, that seems to be Alan Chastney's, one of his main, modus operandi and methods of politicking and trying to get the government here in trouble so that he hopes on the back of that he can ride or slide or sail into office. He's always America, I'm going to report you to America. I'm going to tell on you to America. I'm making America revoke your visa. I'm making America take away your visa-free arrangement. That seems to be all they know. These guys seem to be so fatuous, so block-headed when it comes to an understanding of our independence, our national sovereignty, our self-determination, that they have this colonizing mindset, this yard-fowl mindset, that our legitimacy and our way and our standing in the world depends on always brown-nosing in every possible way America and Britain and Canada, and it's always a tell on you, to tell on you, I'm going to tell America for you. And so it appears that the United Workers' Party does not seem to know any other way to discredit the Labour Party in the eyes of St. Lucians or whoever is seeking to discredit them, than to try to incite, to invoke, to provoke the ire of America and so on against us, so America will take some measure against us that will cause us, to lose this kind of regard at home that we got. We got things under control. I have no respect for people like that. And people who do that are people who fundamentally do not regard themselves as St. Lucian. They do not have the connection, the nexus, the bonding with us. They do not identify with us. They do not have within themselves an acknowledgement and a consciousness, of being St. Lucian in them, because they're always looking to go and tell Canada for us and tell America for us and make you lose your visa. And that's all you can bring, this is political moronism. Only political morons and morons, in other sense, do that, and they do it repeatedly all the time. Now, let me go to the second part of what I'm saying, because that seems to be, and this is what riled me up. So, Pastor Garfield, if you are a pastor, Garfield Oliver, you're right, I need to calm down. But these things, they have been roiling and boiling. Don't think what you said about you going to go and report St. Lucia to the State Department and report the government to the United States and so on. Is certain things about you, just the same way with Guy Joseph. I normally leave the guy alone. I'm a Christian, and there's a passage in the Bible that says that people who are ministers and who are taking the lead around you and elders, you should count them worthy of a certain degree of honor and respect. It doesn't mean I'm in a member of your church, but once a man professes to be, according to the faith and whatever, an older man, you're supposed to have him in that regard. So don't speak abusively of him, and don't come down on him like a ton of bricks and this kind of thing. And I've always had this thing about Guy Joseph Shelton, have a little reserve about him, because he's supposed to be an elder in the Christian faith and so on. It's when I hear repeatedly this nonsense about, you can't be a Christian and you cannot be somebody who loves God or who God loves or who has salvation if you're supporting Philip JP. That's taking it too far. That is taking it too far. And it's the same thing with you, Pastor Garfield. You really, I have no beef with you being a supporter of the United Workers' Party. I don't come and exegete scripture in a manner that is convenient to my well-known, acknowledged, publicized stance as a supporter of the Labour Party. There is a place where I think, who was it, Paul, who said that no soldier, busies himself with matters of this life. He focuses upon being a soldier, upon his training, upon matters that will help him to be successful in warfare and in the military service to which he has been enlisted or conscripted or whatever it is, But I cannot tell people that this means that somebody who's a Christian minister should not have an interest in politics, should not comment. I'll never say that. Some people may see it that way, some may not. But I just find I have a certain thing that riles me up about people who are supposed to be bringing the message and the gospel of salvation and redemption and forgiveness and saving souls and so on, that the politics seems to get such a hold of them that side of them becomes, suppressed and sublimated and subjugated, and smothered and so on, that the viciousness comes out. Basically, what people who are ministers tell you, look, man, you venture into other things. You can be an eclectic person, but there is one thing that must always be paramount. It must always be at the pinnacle, at the zenith, at the acme of your considerations, of your interests. And if it conflicts with anything else, then the anything else must go. Everything else must go. That your calling as the minister of the gospel is the highest calling. And several pastors that I've spoken with tell you this. That's the committed ones. That of all the things a man can be doing in his life, that he can be involved in, that he can be interested in, that the call, because they don't consider it as something, a job you apply for, they consider it as a calling, that this calling is the highest one and the most important one on this side of eternity, that nothing else approaches in terms of the things that they fly a flag about, that they regale, in their lives and so on, that they consider to be, the creme de la creme of their whole life's journey on this earth, is being a minister of the gospel. Everything else has to take second place. I know a pastor in Antigua, and I'll tell you his name, Robert Lee, can bear me out on him. The man held the highest rank, or one of the highest ranks he could have held in the military, Antigua and Barbuda Defense Force. But the man was also, and still is, even after his retirement from military service, he still is a pastor. His name is Ivor Walker. Ivor Walker, because I suppose there wasn't place for colonel. Colonel is the highest rank. In other places in the Caribbean, you might find Barbados, for example, the highest rank is brigadier. I think that is it. I think Guyana is the same way, based upon the Commonwealth ranking system of militaries that they follow and so on. But in Antigua, it's colonel. The guy who was head of the army, Colonel Trevor Thomas and so on, retired, and I think Colonel Talbot Benjamin took over. So Ivor Walker and other people who had the rank of colonel, because of the experience they had obtained in intelligence, in administration, in security and so on, they used to appoint those men to head other, organizations, quasi-military, and so he was appointed the head of immigration, So I walked into his office to introduce my wife to him when she visited me in Antigua, and, Pastor Walker told me, one thing he likes about me. I can call him Colonel Walker, but I always, even in his office of immigration, that I call him Pastor Walker. And he had this nice, endearing smile about him. That the thing that he loves most, that moves him, that touches him most, is the acknowledgement of his calling as a minister of the gospel. And before we left, he said, before you go, I'd like to pray with, or for you and your wife and so on. And right there in the chief immigration officer or director of immigration office, we bow our heads, and the head of immigration is paying, because the pastor in this man is so strong. I knew other military people there who told me the same thing. I knew a high-ranking police officer who was also an ordained pastor. And even though he had respect and he loved his rank, being a pastor, that calling for a pastor, that was the highest for him. And so there are others who had doctorates. Some people can't wait to get a doctorate, and suddenly they can't suffer to be called reverend or pastor anymore. It's doctor so-and-so. And one of them told me he has seen that trend. A lot of pastors are going for their PhDs, and as if once they get their PhDs, it's about the doctorate, they fly in the flag. But not him. He's one of the most senior police officers, but, when he's called pastor and so on, he feels so much more than when he's called superintendent or assistant commissioner or whatever. That is the highest calling. Another pastor told me the same thing, who didn't have, I think he subsequently got his PhD, that being a pastor is the highest calling on this side of eternity. It is the thing. There's another man, one of the top educators in Antigua, Dr. Eustace Hill. He passed away, some time ago. His brother, Radford Hill, is one of the leading lawyers. And once I went to the institute he was the principal of, the Antigua and Barbuda Institute of Continuing Education, ABIS. They had some kind of industrial action, and I went to cover it. And when I went, I said, hey, Pastor Hill, I'm here to see you. And a few other workers said, you see, he'll not be impartial. Here, how we call him Pastor Hill, and so on. I said, well, how should I call him? You could at least call him Mr. Hill or Dr. Hill, where you call him Pastor, so that means there's a closeness. I said, wow, I wasn't that I was thinking. Pastor Hill brought me into his office. And the first thing he said, Shelton, I know you're a believer, and I'd like to start with some prayer. And right there, he said, I don't do this with people, but he prayed right there in his office, because this man was so happy amid all the turmoil of the strike and so on to meet with somebody who he knew, shared and understood his enthusiasm for the credentials of being a minister of the gospel. Why am I going into all of that? Gabriel Oliver, for the same reason that I've had problems with Guy Joseph, is with you. I find for someone who declares himself to be a minister, it's always about trying to gaslight, trying to destabilize, trying to go on to, do damage to St. Lucia. You're too much on the same level with Rijok and Martinez in terms of what you're trying to do. I have no problem with your politics, But I just find that aspect of your politics, it seems to cross over grace and goodwill and, criticizing better the morality of the country. What I'm saying? You have no business in St. Lucia because, I was a journalist in Antigua, talk show host and so on, whatever it was. But it's the manner in which you do it. You're just so polarized and partisan and it's entirely on that you seem to be focused. And like I said, it's not what you said about you going to report St. Lucia or you have reported St. Lucia to the American government. It's other things you've said before, and I'm going to play a clip that will highlight some of them. Some of them were just so downright racist. Hold on a while, Jaquan, I'll come to it. They're so downright racist about who's black and America and those places, make them whiter and lighter in color. Why should you be saying that? You may be a little lighter shaded and so on, but you're not a white man. Those societies that have this anti-black prejudice and so on against black people, they look down upon for you to be a minister of the gospel, one who knows that God has called and saved people and redeemed them out of every nation and tribe and tongue and color and race and all this kind of thing. To be exalting as if the whiteness of Canada and those things, that should not be coming from you, sir. That should not be coming from you. You should be rebuking that wherever it comes. Now let me go back to my time in Antigua and moving around the other Leeward Islands and so on. In the Leeward Islands, there is a phrase that if you're not from any one of the territories, they call you a non-belonger. They don't tell you you're not a belonger. You go to Tortola, you go to any one of them, the BVI and so on. One of the things the immigration people will ask, you a belonger or what? Are you from here? You'll hate in Antigua, Gaston Brown, when you annoy him, he'll point out to people, you're not a belonger. How you could come be insulting our country and its government as if we're ignorant and we don't know. And these are the times when you say those kinds of things. It causes people like me and others to wonder, why should this non-belonger, who has probably made his home and identifies with us and call us one of his own, he is saying the kind of things that seem designed to damage, to destabilize our country, to give an image of our country as being some kind of what Trump would call a shithole, a hellhole, a country that is a nightmare, which the facts are not borne out on the ground. They are your opinion. Why are you trying to damage us when you seem to identify as one of us? I don't know what basis. Maybe it's just the OECS thing. Maybe it is just you married to a St. Lucian. I don't even bother to dig into those things. But you are non-belonger. And sometimes you don't feel the resentment against somebody in the normal course of things. But when you see a clear pattern that this person is trying to injure, this person is trying to besmirch, this person is trying to smear, this person is trying to tarnish our country, at a time when so many things militate against us in the world, we are at the bottom of the pile because we're predominantly black. Everybody who races is on black people. They want to take a dump. You're a small island, you don't have much natural resources, you don't have much land mass and so on. Everybody feel they can slap and buffet you around in any way they can. Marco Rubio believes now he can put maximum pressure on Cuba by putting maximum pressure on us because we have Cuban doctors and nurses coming to help us here with our healthcare system, the eye care and this kind of thing. We went through this absolutely brutal COVID-19 pandemic. Who you think it affected most but the countries like ours who did not have the resources? Were it not for the United Nations and COVAX and PAHO that gave us that support, we would have probably been wiped out. We went through this thing, it was economically damaging and so on. It was socially dislocating, all the social distance and avoiding people and all this kind of thing. Up to now, I have a paranoia when I'm on a line and somebody comes up too close to me and so on. I know it's the COVID pandemic thing and so on. Up to now, I hate the feeling of people questioning me and so on. I never like crowds, but even more so, I just can't stand crowds and to feel hemmed in by people. Just when we thought we were coming out of it, look at what happened. That's when Vladimir Putin decided he's going to invade Ukraine. That and all the other problems, supply chain issues, and on top of it all, Donald Trump. A man who seems to thrive on chaos and confusion, even if it means turning the whole world on its head. Okay, let's make a deal. We only 10% mutual tariffs. You turn your back. Oh no, it's up to 50%, 500% tariffs and so on. Brazil, which does not have any trade surplus with America, so he can claim Brazil is taking advantage. The man goes and put 50% or whatever tariffs on Brazil because of Brazil's internal affairs, of a trial of a man who tried to do what Trump tried to do in America, Jair Bolsonaro, another of the far-right fellas that I'm just not fond of them anyway. The point I'm making is that we have so much going against us. When people like you and Ken Ridjock and Philip Martinez, all of whom I suspect have one common denominator of linkage in St. Lucia, we all know who it is, seem to be doing nothing but for whatever venal inducements and rewards you all are getting, we'll be doing this mercenary hatchet job on St. Lucia to try to destroy its CIP, to try to destroy its trade, to try to destroy its aid, to try to destroy, and that seems to be a persistent line. You're supposed to be the reconciler. You're supposed to be the mediator. You're supposed to be the ambassador substituting for Christ among so many others. But you join in the bandwagon of trying to sabotage and undermine St. Lucia, to gaslight the country and so on. I have a problem with that. That's my problem, not your politics or whether you support UWP and I support SLP. You have presented and sold yourself to us as a minister of the gospel. I give the benefit of the doubt to people. Why is a minister of the gospel in his politics, which he is entitled to, always seem to be taking the line of malice, and to dismantle and to mash up and to do damage to the image of a country that can be inimical to its economy, to its people, and so on? I have a problem with that, sir. Let's play the clip that I said is reflective of some of the reasons which had been bubbling inside of me. And so I let loose about, maybe you should be declared persona non grata and all of that. You're not a belonger, sir. Why are you trying to hurt our country? Why are you all up in our business? And you're all up in our business in a negative way every time. That's my problem with it. Go ahead, Jaquan.
Do we have people who are openly racist in St. Lucia?
Alors, moi, ka fa ou sav keki, moi si moi vote by un nom blanc passé by Philippe Jepierre.
That's why he's inferior.
The people of St. Lucia prefer a little cooler wayayay. St. Lucians don't like people that are too black.
Be proud to be a Canadian, St. Lucia born you according to the people, and the United Kingdom make you into who you are. You are also proud to be a product of these countries who have made you so pretty. Some of you leave St. Lucia black and now you're white. Product of these countries who have made you so pretty. Some of you leave St. Lucia black and now you're white. And now we have 100 hair, 100 weave sitting in our closets. You think you could have gone at SNS and get proper human hair weave for cheap?
Emancipate yourselves from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds.
Folks, as a minister of the gospel, who's supposed to be preaching the gospel of liberation to us, the gospel that who the Son sets free is free indeed, that's supposed to remove from us the oppression, that's supposed to remove from us the oppression of bad thinking about ourselves and about others who, denigrating our blackness and telling us about Canada makes us more white and all of that. These kinds of insults, they exist. But do you expect that kind of insult to be coming out of the mouth of a pastor? Of a black man, from all I can tell? Of a man who I understand is a native of our neighbor just next door, just south, just across, the St. Vincent Channel, a native of St. Vincent and the Grenadines? To be saying this kind of things? I would have played it again, but you can only take one serving of this. These are the kind of things when they have been going on for a while and you tell yourself, but wait, there's part of a pattern. Horrible as Mangal was with his thing about black like Philip J. Pierre and everything on this side is ugly and black like Philip J. Pierre. Horrible as that was and others that we have heard. But at least Mangal is a belonger. He's one of us. We can't exile him. We can't put him on a boat and start the engine and send him up there and who want him can get him, or if he crash on some rocks, that's his business. You know, we don't have exile laws, I think. I wouldn't support it. But this is a belonger. He makes this with tumble down. But what about a man who has come and settled among us, is accepted and welcomed by us, is considered one of us? Because, you know, and for the man to be talking that kind of talk, that kind of racist talk, and on top of it all talking about going and report St. Lucia to America, I suppose so America can institute reprisals against us. So apart from insulting us and denigrating us and being downright racist, you're actually trying to undermine and destabilize us. All of that. You know, and you're not a belonger. You know, I'm using the Leeward Islands term. You're not a belonger. On top of insulting us, you want to tell us that you're openly going to try and destabilize us as a pastor, since when that's your role. And yes, you may have multiple roles, but according to what almost every pastor who's committed to it has told me, that this is the highest calling. This is the most important mission to them in their life. The calling and the mission to be a minister of the gospel of Christ. These things do not reflect that, sir. This thing reflects a certain viciousness, a certain savagery, a certain malice, a certain sociopathy, you know. And that is what had me roiled and riled up, that caused me this outburst. I'm not apologizing for it. I feel justified in doing it, and I'll do it again. Real Issues powered by Blue Waters. Let's take a break, and when we come back, the phone lines are yours.
The man, the voice. Your hero is back. Raw facts, no fluff. Shelton Daniel is here to deal with the issues. Real Issues, 12:30 p.m. to 2 p.m. Monday to Friday on Real FM.
McDowell's Supplements, an effective way to ensure you and your loved ones are getting the daily recommended intake of essential vitamins, minerals, and other important nutrients necessary for optimal health. Naturally, we carry an array of health and wellness supplements. McDowell's Immune Booster enhances your body's defense to fight colds and flu, boosts your immune system, prevents viruses and other airborne diseases. McDowell's Colon Cleanser prevents constipation, helps in removing toxins from the colon, detoxifies the body, and regulates your bowel movements. McDowell's Prostate Health prevent the enlargement of the prostate, improve urinary flow, and reduce frequent urination, especially at night. Moringa oleifera capsules are rich in minerals like calcium, potassium, zinc, magnesium, iron, and copper, vitamins like beta-carotene, vitamin A, vitamin B such as folic acid, vitamin C, D, and E. McDowell's Potassium Complex, used for treating and preventing low potassium levels, high blood pressure, preventing stroke, and aid in weight loss. McDowell's Triple Magnesium relaxes the muscles, relieves cramps and helps to control high blood pressure, improves sleep, and can calm the nerves. Magnesium is very important for the normal functioning of cells, nerves, muscles, bones, and the heart. McDowell's Ginger Turmeric helps to relieve pain, decrease nausea and enhance the immune function to help protect against illness and infection. Ginger turmeric has powerful anti-inflammatory properties and improves your circulation. Don't hold health back. Let health strike back. McDowell's, the better way to start your health. Visit Health Service Center, John Compton Highway. Call 453-6417. Let your wellness be our stress.
It is well known that diseases like diabetes, high blood pressure, and other illnesses may restrict blood flow, which can lead to impotence and erectile dysfunction. This is why Enhance was formulated to meet these challenging health problems, which can reduce your ability to perform. If you're having problems maintaining your manhood, then reclaim your manhood today with Enhance. Enhance increases your energy level, boost your stamina, and increases your endurance.
You can get your Enhance at Southwell VA4, Restorer Pharmacy Soufre, Knights Med Miku, Lay by Bar The Morn, Dexter's Place Jeremy Street Castries, Citygate Bar The City opposite the market, Plants Place Denry Highway, Arlette Supermarket Soufre, The Release Stress Bar Labrie Highway, Cool Joint Bar Victoria Schwazel, Prios Bus Stop 22 next to the Moshi Bus Stop opposite the Grosile Bus Stop, Prios Bar and Grill in Corinth, Grosile.
Enhance, the best a man can get.
The man, the voice. Your hero is back. Raw facts, no fluff. Shelton Daniel is here to deal with the issues. Real issues. 12:30 p.m. to 2 p.m. Monday to Friday on Real FM.
Real Issues powered by Blue Waters. We have callers waiting. Let's take the first one. You're on the air. Go ahead.
Sheldon, good afternoon.
Hello.
Sheldon?
Yes, my friend. You're on the air. Go ahead.
I want to thank you for defending our country. And Philippe J. as Prime Minister, 4 years ago, his party was elected into office. He didn't seize power by the barrel of a gun. There was a democratic process, and he was elected into office. And the evidence is there as to before and after. How he finds St. Lucia, the condition, the bad deals that were made that put St. Lucia in that condition that it is right now, that he's fighting to remove us. I refer to the DSH. And Philippe J. as the country, he put the country on a solid footing. St. Lucia right now is in an upward trajectory. Look, we're paying our bills. We were owing Martinique how many millions of dollars? And we pay Martinique so much that the French ambassador actually praised Philippe J. for paying, so we can get our health care. Look, we paid staff that were owing how much money, you know? And the country is going forward with Philippe J. And you have a man, as you say, who is an outsider, not one of us. And that Garfield fella, he shouldn't even be referred to as a pastor. I see that man as a political masturbator. I see that man as one who is teaming up with criminals to try to sink our country. And we have to resist that guy at all costs. Philippe J. is doing very good. He's doing very good. St. Lucia is in good standings. The MPs, all MPs, are doing what they're supposed to do in putting the people first. And you're telling me you have a man there every single day who is just hell-bent on bringing down our country. We have to resist that Garfield fella. And he ain't no pastor. St. Lucians, hold strong. Remember where we came from. And we're not going back where we came from. We are not going back to the days when we as St. Lucians, we couldn't even go and stand up outside Parliament because the place was barricaded. We're not going there. St. Lucia is going forward. Let us keep going forward with Philippe J. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you very much. We have another caller waiting. You're on the air. Real Issues.
Well,
hello.
Good afternoon to you, my brother.
Hey, what's happening, my friend?
Bro, I tell you, you brought me to tears.
What's that?
You brought me to tears.
Oh, okay. How is that, huh?
Why? You cannot go wrong with your preambles and what you have spoken about.
Okay. I didn't know that.
You see, like I said before, Children, I want to say thanks to many of my friends who came to visit me for my 70th birthday.
Yes, okay, well, happy birthday, by the way, belatedly, yes.
But my brother, let me tell you, where you on fire today, you know why you are such on fire? Because you will prepare yourself to come today. Now, on my birthday, I was supposed to be on the radio with Yadi. I left my home 7 o'clock and I reached down 8:30.
Wow.
I went up Bernard Hill just to realize that the station not there.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Let me tell you, Sheldon, I so love your preamble. And I can tell you that Pamela avec Guy avec yo, seul Samuel Sadi. Merci pour SLP. Philippe J. Pierre. Philippe J. Pierre will go down in history as probably the best prime minister in the Caribbean. And there are a lot of things that many countries trying to do now that Philippe J. Pierre has done for us. Qui touche moi. That can moi puis nous fait même moi.
Okay.
His birthday was a few days before me. And I realize in myself the kind of person that I am. And the many people who know me can attest to the person that I am. I have no enemy. I am not vexed with nobody.
Okay.
And I model myself after Philip J.P., my brother. I'm sorry. I'm so... All
right. Est-ce qu'on pas bon dire on est en flou en bail?
Non, boy.
Okay, all right. Well, nous ga parler l'autre là vous savez composer comme.
Bon mais nous préambule.
Oui.
Il passe à des préambule. Parce ça on l'a dit.
Okay, come on.
My brother, you brought me to tears.
Okay, comrade. Recompose yourself and recompose yourself, and we'll talk again. Let's give somebody else a chance. All right, do we have that somebody on the line? Real issues, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Yeah, man. Talking about that guy, you say that he called himself a pastor and he doing that. One thing we've come on, and that's why I'm telling you, our prime minister, he too soft and lenient. In the 70s, I could remember there was a guy, they call him Mr. England, a white guy, David. And he had a shop, Shipwreck.
Yeah, David England?
That's right.
The Noah's Arcade man and so on?
That is right. I used to sell craft. I remember a little boy, I used to sell craft for that man. Compton deported me when he was trying to play like he on the side of how you call that fellow?
Yeah, there was George Odlum. There was
George Odlum and thing and them.
But he was facilitating Odlum to send people to Libya for training there.
Exactly. You know what Compton did? He make a thing like as if the man want to overthrow him. Like
Compton actually passed a law, and the law was called the David England Prohibited Immigrant Act. And there was also for his wife the Jean England Prohibited Immigrant Act, you know.
Exactly. So hear that, because I don't have much credit. Even Wickrane at the time, Wickrane was broadcasting the truth against Compton. He wanted deported May, which is Wickrane wife right now. He wanted to deport May, and Wickrane had to marry May, because I work with these people in the staff.
Yeah.
And to let the woman stay in town. So when you see these people come around, is that what Philip JP have to do? Get away to deport these fellas, because you can't have them fellas and play nice boy to them. You're not even a St. Lucian. and he's trying to make you living long here. And is that what you're doing?
Exactly.
That one I ain't supporting that, none at all.
Yeah.
You have to get away to send them fellas back in their country. That's my contribution.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Okay, do we have another caller waiting? 487-9849. That's the number on which you can WhatsApp call us. WhatsApp call us on 758-487-9849. And you can call us on the landline 4533-911. An animated person is standing by. Real issues.
Let me tell you something.
No. Terry Bala hodia pour sauver. Terry Bala hodia pour quoi? Mama yon mol hodia ou ça. Eh?
Ou ka fe moun hele.
La même ba de san mol
Only sleeping serpent la very awake make a hele.
All right, okay.
Because you be habillé well tired kind of thing anyhow.
Oh, ça va faire moun hele là ou bien habillé bien tired?
I don't know about that, Shelton.
Bon manger comment là monsieur pour moi ça fait quiz bon.
Ou vle fait
comment c'est elle?
Night and pose pour les hommes.
All right, okay.
Shelton, on a very, very serious note.
What's that?
I want to agree with the thought process that something needs to be done about these people who don't belong to this country. Kodi patwa yo pa ne ici ya, mais c'est yo kin pli lantewe en pays nous passé nous.
Et lantewe c'est toujours pour faire pays à dito.
Exactement. Ou vle di moi ou pas né ici nous on faveur nous accepter ou lever ici ou aller l'école ici ou aller l'Amérique. Hein? Ou pas quand des pièces moun ici mais ou vle chasse ne vient pouvoir pour commencer en bas pour aider cette lycée. Mais ou ka apporter cette lycée pour l'Amérique pour faire qui ça? And you should be accepted here. I personally believe this man, that man, and the other one. Him, Fede, and Chasney should be declared persona non grata. They don't love us. They only want to use us. Well, forget that pastor. I don't know if it's Carib pastor, Tenderoni pastor, or Il Pirata pastor, but it's not a pastor. Not one I would buy. But something needs to be done to send a strong message to Garfield Oliver that he is not welcomed in this country if all he's going to do and use his energy for is to promote bad things, wish bad things, and try to report us to the US. Or that's a Shelton.
Okay, my friend. Thanks a lot.
Bye-bye.
All right, Real Issues. We are taking your calls until 2 o'clock. 487-9849, one of the numbers for you to dial, and the other one is 4533-911. All right, we're taking your calls, and we have just a few more minutes to go on today's program. Let me see. We have a couple of messages that I'm trying to pull up to read, but I think we're getting another call. Real Issues, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Good afternoon, Shelton.
Yeah, good afternoon. How are you doing?
How are you doing? How is everything?
I'm doing okay. Sounds like the voice of the Reverend Deacon.
Yes, sir, and that I am.
All right.
As much as I love the politics, my God comes first.
All right.
And I will never put myself in a position for people to question the faith. Never.
Yes.
But Shelton, on many occasions, I have spoken to Garfield. I have told Garfield that what he's doing there is really a shame. I understand, as you said, a man of his politics, you want to partake in the politics. But the thing that this guy is saying, I have listened to him so many times. And sometimes I myself feel that shame as a Christian. Because to me, I don't even see him as a pastor. I see him as a manipulator. Trying to manipulate the minds of the people. And he's using the gospel like Guy Joseph to sometimes I call him the twister. You know? I mean, one can partake in politics, and I have no problems because in Romans 14 tells you about the government and God. You know? In the book of Revelation speaks about my government shall be, So you know that there is government, there is politics in Christianity. But to the length that Garfield has taken this thing, I feel sometimes ashamed, although we are not of the same faith, you know. But as Christians, you know, I expect better from this guy. You know,
Yes.
I expect better from him. And sometimes I feel so bad because I've spoken to him on many occasions. And I mean, to be honest with you, he's a guy, if you don't see me or hear me for a while, he'll check on me. You know, but the things that he says, sometimes I wonder if Garfield does really think. Garfield sleeps, lives, Garfield breathes politics of Alan Shastley, you know.
Yeah.
I heard Garfield said he's praying for the UWP and Alan Shastley. And I'm saying, by the way, everybody needs prayer. I am praying that Shastley become a better person. I am praying that Shastley stop lying, stop teaching the nation to lie. I was one of the first persons who approached Alan Shastley and told him, Alan, Prime Minister, look, the country is divided very badly. Things are looking so bad when it comes to people and friendship and behavior. You know, you as a leader, because at that time he was the Prime Minister, and I told him, why don't you as the leader address the nation and, you know, ask the nation to come together? You know what the man told me? You do it. Why don't you go and do it? The man was prepared to fight me, you know. Shelton, prepared to fight me. And I'm saying, but wait, what's the Prime Minister behave? Only because I mentioned Hile's name to the man. You know? In fact, I didn't even mention Hile. I asked him a question, and he assumed that Hile sent me to ask the question. You know? The man came from the podium, and immediately coming down from the podium, the man came to me. You know? And the behavior of the Prime Minister then, and you know, Children, that time I attended the event because the fact that I know this is the St. Lucia Prime Minister. I didn't go there as a UWP or SLP. I went there as a St. Lucian. The St. Lucian Prime Minister was here. He's addressing the United Nations. He's coming to address St. Lucians. So I went there as a St. Lucian. You know, but the treatment that I got as if, you know, it was a UWP event.
Yeah.
You know, and I have spoken to Garfield many times about that, and this thing is getting so out of hand. Sometimes I feel so sorry for Garfield.
I mean, you get the point that the most important thing to him is not being a pastor, which is a shepherd, but it is the political polarization of supporting the UWP. That this is the agenda that is the most important one to him. I cannot pretend that I'm a regular or continuous follower of the gentleman. But the few times I have logged on to you know, his Facebook post and his lives and whatever, I have never gotten something gospel out of him. In other words, it's not a case of a man who mixes, you know, a bit of politics into his gospel, but his main focus is to reach out to people, to bring them the message of salvation and redemption and blah, 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 and their behavior and how we live in the world. It's like it's the pure politics, flambeau politics is out there simply to basically to root and to campaign and to lobby and to promote for the UWP, you know, that's what I'm saying. But you know, let me ask you something quickly. Is this a legitimately ordained pastor, as far as you know, since you have some closeness with him? Is he part of an organization where he's accountable to somebody or whatever?
Annette would know more about him. Annette Dubois would know more about him. To be honest with you, I do not know if he's an ordained pastor. One time he went after me, calling my bishop in Florida, trying to find out if I was an ordained deacon of the church. And what he was really looking to go after me and tarnish me up, but then he got a different message from the bishop. And you know what the bishop told him? You know, he was so adamant and wanting to find something on me that he called the following morning, a Saturday morning when the man was supposed to be church, you know. The man called the bishop, you know. And what he got from the bishop, I think, made him recognize, I am not who you think I am. You know, I am not that person who is into trouble, who's going to...
So in other words, he has this vicious retaliatory side about him.
Yes. Yes.
Anyway.
And you know, when he got a message from the bishop, he never called me again. He never really told me. But we have spoken after that. I mean, I have spoken to him. Because there are times that I agree with him on a faith basis when he talks about faith. Sometimes he has a faith program on Friday night, and he only have 10 followers. He only have more followers when he's doing his political thing.
Anyway, we are approaching
when it comes to preaching, he has 10 people.
We are approaching the time when we have to go. I can't tell people how to pervade their politics. But when you are supposed to be a shepherd, a minister of the gospel, and you seem more interested in being a polarizing figure, in doing a hatchet job, you know, for a political organization in basically taking up cudgels against people, you know, that you should be reaching out to, taking up cudgels for Alan Shastney and the UWP. What difference do you have with a Martinez who doesn't make any profession to being a believer, minister, whatever? What difference do you have with Rijok, an ex-convict who has been jailed for money laundering and drug trafficking, who has been disbarred as a lawyer and so on? What difference do you have? You're supposed to have a difference from those people. You're supposed to be, as Jesus said, a light in the world. But I don't know, I'm just not getting this vibe from this guy. This guy seems like it's all politics and hatred and insult and gaslighting and so on. And to me, this is not an embracing person. Anyway, so much for that. I was warned not to talk about him, that I'll in fact enhance him. Maybe I'll walk right into the trap again. But thanks very much. All right, Real Issues powered by Blue Waters. We've come to the end of today's program. Frankie Jaquan for another great job with the calls and the controls, the messages. Thank you very much, my people on the Facebook Live, and those of you who are also on YouTube live streaming. Thanks to you who are in the Real Issues WhatsApp chat group. Till tomorrow, same time, 12:30 to 2 p.m. Shelton Daniel for the Real Issues signing off.
The man, the voice. Your hero is back. Raw facts, no fluff. Shelton Daniel is here to deal with the issues. Real Issues, 12:30 p.m. to 2 p.m. Monday to Friday on Real FM.
McDowell's Supplements, an effective way to ensure you and your loved ones are getting the daily recommended intake of essential vitamins, minerals, and other important nutrients necessary for optimal health. Naturally, we carry an array of health and wellness supplements. McDowell's Immune Booster enhances your body's defense to fight colds and flu, boosts your immune system, prevents viruses and other airborne diseases. McDowell's Colon Cleanser prevents constipation, helps in removing toxins from the colon, detoxifies the body, and regulates your bowel movements. McDowell's Prostate Health prevent the enlargement of the prostate, improve urinary flow, and reduce frequent urination, especially...
The winning numbers for the midday draw of Wednesday, 1st October 2025 were Double Daily Grand, 7, 9, 15, 16. Big 4, 4, 5, 3, 2. Big for Multi-X at P. Pick 2, 1, 1. Pick 2 Multi-X, 5X. 1 off, 5, 6, 0. Lucky 3, 7, 8, 6. Lucky 3 Multi-X, 2X.
The man, the voice. Your hero is back. Raw facts, no fluff. Shelton Daniel is here to deal with the issues. Real Issues, 12:30 p.m. to 2 p.m. Monday to Friday on Real FM.